Welcome to History 112, Lecture 51, Partisanship and the 1990s. To review, the election of 1992 basically goes like this. President Bush is deeply unpopular after the recession continues to worsen throughout 1991 and the administration fails to put forward any proposals that will help the economy. Bill Clinton emerges as a Democratic frontrunner following most of the leading Democrats decline to run. And Ross Perot enters as a third-party candidate who campaigns on a platform using business experience to strengthen the economy. And Ross Perot was the frontrunner during the summer, and he drops out of the race and then returns. And he makes a lot of crazy claims towards the end of the race. Now the result is that Clinton wins with 43% to Bush's 38% and Perot's 19%. Now Clinton wins, but he lacks a mandate. In other words, while he is the winner, he is not supported by the majority of the country. So Clinton, as a result, faces a lot of problems early on. One of the first big scandals came in the form of the suicide of Vince Foster, the White House counsel, and also a longtime friend of the president, which led to a lot of speculation about a potential role of the White House in his death, and it was all basically unfounded, but it was still something of a national scandal. And also in early 1993, his wife, Hillary Clinton, is going to lead the charge on healthcare reform, and she's going to propose guaranteed coverage to every American and to hold down the costs of Medicare. And that makes her a target for the political opposition. And the United States is also among the nations sending peacekeeping troops to Bosnia, and this is deeply unpopular and becomes more so as the conflict spreads throughout the Balkans. While Clinton's presidency does get off to a rocky start in the first year, there are some significant achievements. Clinton was a committed advocate of free trade and a proponent of many aspects of what became known as globalism, and he wins the approval of a North American Free Trade Agreement, which eliminates most trade barriers between the United States, Canada, and Mexico. And the foreign policy of the Clinton administration was very cautious during that beginning. And some said it was due to the president's relative inexperience in international affairs, and others attributed it to the rapidly changing character of international politics in the wake of the fall of the Soviet Union. Now, Clinton is particularly embattled after the midterm elections of 1994 because Republicans are going to gain control of both houses of Congress for the first time in 40 years. Now, Newt Gingrich of Georgia, who is going to become the Speaker of the House, is going to release a set of campaign promises signed by almost every Republican candidate and call it the Contract with America. And it's going to call for things like tax reductions, dramatic changes in federal spending to produce balanced budgets, and so on. The Republican Congress is going to go ahead also and propose a series of measures designed to transfer important powers from the federal government back to the states. In November of 1995 and again in January 1996, the federal government literally shut down for several days because the president and Congress could not agree on a budget. Now, Clinton enters the election of 1996 facing no challenges from within his own party, and he had been working on traditional Democratic goals that were broadly popular, like raising minimum wage, and he also took up many centrist positions that undermined some of the Republican platform. Like, for example, he shifted benefits from welfare to workfare. That is to say, the public benefits became attached to participating in a job retraining program. And also, Clinton is having a booming economy. Now, the Republicans come into this running Bob Dole, who is an uninspiring candidate, and things like the booming economy and some of those centrist positions are going to carry Clinton through to another term, and he's going to win 49% to Dole's 41%. Perot running again, only taking 8% this time. Now, importantly, Democrats are also going to make some small gains in Congress. Now, Clinton began his second term proposing a relatively modest domestic agenda consisting primarily of some tax cuts and some tax credit targeted at the middle class and designed to help them educate their children. However, there were a number of scandals during Clinton's second term, and several women come forward to accuse Clinton of sexual harassment. Two in particular that are noteworthy are the Paula Jones case, which charged that the president had a pattern, and he charged that he had a relationship with a young White House intern named Monica Lewinsky as part of that pattern, and charged that he lied about it and tried to get Lewinsky to do the same as a way to keep the Paula Jones case from getting too much press. And that, of course, led to the Lewinsky scandal itself and some of Clinton's more famous quotes from his second term, such as, "I did not have sexual relations with that woman," or "It depends on what the meaning of the word is." Now, Clinton did deny all of these charges and try to do his best to use perfectly legal tactics to block the investigation without actually abusing the presidential power. But he does eventually force to admit that he did have an improper relationship with Monica Lewinsky and that he had certainly bent, if not the truth, if not lied about some of the things during his depositions. And the president did, however, seem to escape most of these difficulties as a result of strong popular support. While these matters were essentially of a personal nature and a matter for civil lawsuits, Republicans at that time went forward with it trying to impeach Bill Clinton, and House leaders resisted all calls for dismissal of the charge or any compromise. So first, the House Judiciary Committee and then the full House are both going to vote down strictly partisan lines and approve 2 counts of impeachment, lying to the grand jury and obstructing justice. Now, as this all goes on, this becomes the central scandal of American politics during that time, as being driven by an increasingly sensationalist media culture and the legal device of independent counsels who are going and conducting independent investigations to find out what the president supposedly had done, and also the intensely adversarial quality of partisan politics. But as this goes on, there are questions about how appropriate this all was, especially in light of what was going on in the rest of the world. Like, there's numerous reports of Serbian atrocities against people in Kosovo, and there's also an enormous refugee crisis spurred on by the Yugoslavian military action in the province, and people are looking at world opinion and saying, is it really appropriate to go ahead and focus in American politics on what Bill Clinton may or may not have done in an inappropriate relationship with a young woman versus the needs of the world politics as a whole? Now, Clinton is ultimately acquitted, and Republicans simply could not get the votes in the Senate trial. And in order to have done so in the first place, they would have needed to bring some Democrats with him, and no Democrat voted for impeachment. And in fact, some Republicans backed off because they also began to agree that this was inappropriate and essentially a civil matter. Now, the two American political parties at this point do have a lot of bad blood between them, and it's going to be a long time, if ever, before those wounds heal. So what's the big idea here? Well, Clinton wins without a clear mandate, and he's in battle in many ways, but the economy is booming, and that helps him win re-election. However, scandals are going to lead to his impeachment, and the acts he was accused of were illegal. It's important to remember that. But many question if it was appropriate to focus on whether a president lied about cheating on his wife while there were more pressing issues in the world. And ultimately, Clinton was acquitted, but party politics developed a rift that has yet to heal as a result. See you in the next lecture.